Hey everyone, I'm doing my next section of my John Maxwell, the Charismatic Leader. So I'm continuing the chapter that I started last week, and it's basically on being built bridges. So the first point was making introductions for others that they could never have on their own. And I touched on examples of how I've done that in the community, with the church, and it's important to do that, especially if we're immigrants. Usually people don't know where to go, what to do, who to talk to. So that's important, not only in the church, but also for business, for getting work, it's important. And then the second and the third point, the second one is take people places they can't get to on their own, and the third is offer opportunities they can't attain on their own. So when we look at those two, you can connect them. Some of the things that you can do if you don't know people like me. When I came to Canada, I didn't know anybody who could open doors for me. You can get it on social media. That's one of the things the church is encouraging us to do, to use social media and to use communication to reach people. When I got involved in helping politically, I didn't go and approach the political organizations. They came to me because they were paying attention to what I was posting on X, or it was called Twitter then. And the same with the interview that I got for CBC on Zimbabwe. I didn't go to them and ask them, can you interview me, or send in a resume or a letter saying that I would like to be interviewed on Zimbabwe. I was using social media. I was using Facebook, X or Twitter. I was using LinkedIn. And then they came to me and they approached me and asked me if I would be willing to volunteer, willing to help. And then I said yes, and that's how they got my name. And I started going out to help with the political parties, with different things. I didn't have anybody open doors for me, like in the workplace or the church. I didn't have anybody make introductions for me. I didn't have anybody that said, okay, we're going to give you this opportunity. Once I was in the parish, and once Father Larry got to know me, then he approached me and he told me where he wanted me to help. And that started with the children's liturgy. And then I helped with the Eucharistic ministry, and then with reading and many other things. So it's important to get that foot in the door first, and then once people see you and they see what you can do, then they will offer you the opportunities. So that's a suggestion I can make, because I've never had anybody approach me to say, we've got this opportunity and we think it would be a good fit for you. And I think it's important for us as women to remember that. Once you're in, you'll also be doing hiring and recruiting like I did. You may get those opportunities, and then you'll be taking people places they couldn't get to on their own. But even if you're using social media to influence, you're still helping, you're bringing a different perspective, you're shedding light on your own experience. So you're taking people to places that they couldn't get to on their own. And then through that, the offer comes for opportunities they couldn't have on their own. This is very different from like when I was living in South Africa or living in Britain, because I had people there who could make the introductions. When Graham Fusion came to Sunnyside residence, I told him that, I wanted something where I could have more of a community, get involved with the Catholic community. And then he said to me, well, we've got a Catholic residence, so if you want, I can get you into that. And so then I moved off the main campus from Sunnyside into Trinity House. So you don't know where those opportunities are going to connect, but that's an example of somebody who helped open doors for me that I couldn't get to on my own. When I got involved taking my courses at Regis College, I went there and I approached the sisters, and they said to me, well, you know, it's a very difficult journey, so we're not going to take you into the program right away, but we'll get you to take some courses and we'll assess you and see how you're doing, and then after that we'll let you know whether you can continue in the programs or not. So that's how I did it, even though I had the referral already from Damien Howard in the UK. He wasn't here, so there was very little he could do in terms of helping me. And then once I took the courses and the sisters saw that I was doing okay, and the Jesuits, and they liked my work, then they suggested that I take the diploma in spiritual direction and the masters. So it's important to remember that people may not necessarily open those doors for you right away. With Father Larry, it was different. I took to Father Larry right away, and he liked me, and he took me into ministry right away. So it just depends. We have to be open, and when you're coming here new, people have to see you proving yourselves. So when I make the introductions in the parish, like I did with Esme Ustaisen, or I did with the VP from TD Oliver, because I already have that credibility in the parish, Father Larry is more likely to help them compared to somebody just going in and he doesn't know them. They're less likely to get them involved in the seniors groups, in the outings, in what they're doing. So once we start doing that, we start having an impact in the community. And then the fourth point I already touched on: share ideas others won't discover on their own. Because even with my social media posts that I'm putting for the African leaders, I'm not joking when I say that Dr. Chikwera is connected with me. You can go on LinkedIn and you can see he's connected with me. And so is the leader for the Bahamas. So how did those come about? Well, they saw my posts. They saw what I do for WITS. They saw what I do with Global Citizen. I've watched their interviews that they've given. And so that's how they are connected with me. Ambassador Elias is in Australia for Zambia. He's also connected with me. So I just try to stay open, and I try to be real, like be honest in my perspectives. People may not always like them, and Africa's changed. I mean, I know Zimbabwe, there's some development, but for the most part, when I read what's happening, people are not happy. So there's still a lot of poverty in South Africa. But for me, I feel my part is done. Like, unless they want to hire me as a consultant or something, I've spent over 20 years volunteering, helping Africa, using my time, my talents, helping with the One campaign. And people are moving away from activism because activism is not that popular anymore, and we're not getting the support that we used to get from the administrations. So it's not easy to do it in the first place, like we had the support of Justin Trudeau. But we first had to prove ourselves, and then he gave us the support. It wasn't like he was an activist and he pushed for it once we were there and once we launched the campaign. But it's hard work. It's hard work getting the aid, getting the funding. And if it's going to the countries where there's a lot of corruption, then we don't want that, because it's taxpayers' dollars going from here. We want to see the accountability. And if the African leaders are saying that they don't want the aid, people are not going to force it on them. So it's important to remember that. And Dementini says small opportunities are often the beginning of great enterprises. And that's true. Many organizations have started in people's basements, and they've gone from there to become successful entrepreneurs. Some people have started like me, doing their John Maxwell at home, posting the videos, and then through that they've gotten the opportunities to speak. So we have to be open to where those opportunities could come from, and to see where we can also help others to get those opportunities. If people are interested in the One campaign, go on their website. You can apply. With me, when I started doing this kind of work, I wasn't here. I was already in Africa doing it, helping at soup kitchens, going to help at the parish in Braamfontein. I did a lot in Africa before I did anything here. So it's a matter of getting used to things, and we're always looking, even then, we were looking for people to help us in the soup kitchens, in what we're doing. Over here, the children get points. So for any volunteering they do, they get volunteer hours, and they use that towards their school programs. So in Africa, we didn't have that. We did it out of the goodness of our hearts. There was no points. There was no, oh, if you do this, you'll get that. There was nothing like that. So there's a lot of different things to get used to. But I think if you grow up giving back, and if you grow up with that sense of responsibility that you're not in this world only for yourself, it's easier to carry it throughout your life and to think of others. And in the Catholic tradition, we say that everything is in God's hands, that we live in an abundant world, and we rely on God to give us back what we put out. It doesn't always work that way. We are surrounded by people who can be evil, who can be mean, who can want what they had in the past, which is not going to come back. And that happens. It happened to Elvis Presley. But, fortunately, his family managed to keep that home and to carry on his legacy. And in every society, there's good and there's evil. And we have to know that. We can't be naive about it. And that's important for the company we keep, the friends we have, the opportunities we see. And it's not easy to watch your life's work destroyed. But I don't know really what's going to happen now. China, they're saying the economy is starting to fail. And Trump's plan is working, because all those companies that were producing in China, they're taking the jobs back to America because the tariffs are too high. They can't afford to keep the work in China. So I don't know if the same will happen in Canada, and we'll have opportunities opening up here. But it's very frustrating to sit at home and do nothing and not have an income. So that's why I'm doing this also, so that I can build a business and build an income. And other people have been successful at it. So I don't see why I couldn't be, or I shouldn't be. And I still do offer to help at Regis. I offer to help at other places with whatever I can, because I'm not one who wants to sit around and be a lump and sponge off society. I do want to work and earn an income, and to move back into owning my own place, to pay my bills on time. Nobody likes to be sitting at home doing nothing, unless you have some other source of income, or you're married and your husband works. And in Canada, mainly both people work. It's very rare that one person stays at home and the other one works. So that's the John Maxwell. You can think about the examples I've given you and how you can apply them. And I've tried to apply these things I'm reading about, I've done naturally in my life. I've tried to apply what I've learned through my experiences, and even in England, I used to help at the parishes. I used to help in the poorest areas of London, of England. So I think it's important, because I don't come from a rich family, but I do aim to make a lot of money and to be wealthy, to be financially successful. That is one of my goals. So, and I don't hide it. I work hard and I want to have a good income and be financially secure. So I'll leave you with that. And I still have my friends can still see my post for Pope Francis. I'm going to leave it there for 30 days. It's not available to the whole world, but I'm going to leave it for 30 days, and as long as I feel it's necessary. And it's nice to have a new Pope. We're all happy about that. And it will be interesting to see how his ministry unfolds as the Bishop of Rome. So thank you so much for listening. And if you do hear of opportunities, let me know. And I know all the parishes know me, St. Michael's Cathedral, Newman Center. But I did tag them because you never know, they might need me to come help to read or do things. And if they do, they can reach out. And they might hear of opportunities for me as well. So thank you very much. And for those who don't know, my name is Belinda Fernandez. My name is on my Facebook. So I don't normally do the introduction, and it is on YouTube as well.